The debate over freedom passes and who gets them, sparked by a social media spat. Plus, now, should pensioners who can afford it still get free travel in London? The debate is back after a social media spat between two well-known figures reignited questions over whether free travel for older Londoners is still fair or financially sustainable. It feeds into a wider debate about who gets these benefits and who should pay. Frankie McCamley is here with more on this.
So, the row over the travel freedom pass and who gets one has got a bit heated this week. Now, it's after the author Michael Rosen took to X to complain that he was struggling to get a replacement freedom pass. Now, the broadcaster Kirsty Allsop then suggested Michael should pay for his journeys rather than travel for free. So, we're looking into who gets travel for free. In London, over 60s get free travel on TfL and most national rail services across the city out of peak hours with a free 60-plus Oyster photo card, which is funded by TfL. Now, that 60-plus Oyster expires at the age of 66 when you become eligible for London Council's Freedom Pass, which is paid for by local authorities. People with certain disabilities are eligible for this pass too. So how vital are these passes? Well, we asked the chair of London Assembly's Transport Committee.
It's really important to remember that concessions are such an important part of our transport system in London, as is public transport and access to public transport. And there's a real question about whether we want to be shaming people or discouraging them from using public transport, especially when they're older. And you might find that the consequences are people aren't going out and they're being restricted from family and social life.
So, is it fair in the current climate that over 60s in London get this perk, even though the state retirement age is currently 66? Well, we've been out asking Londoners what they think.
I drive, so I have to pay all the extra costs of driving, and I don't use my freedom pass as much as I should. But hey-ho, it's something that I feel like I've worked for all my life to get.
Some people are saying if you can, maybe the people should pay towards their freedom pass.
Well, I mean, the ones maybe who are on like a private pension have a more expedient means of income. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, it's all about solidarity and paying for your fellow man.
When you reach a certain age, let's say 60, you won't want to be spending your money on travel. Do you get? There's other things you got to look at, like your kids' kids.
I would be quite happy to pay half my fare every time I travelled, yeah, if that was going to help.
Why shouldn't they be entitled to free travel? It's just fair enough. If they've worked, not for the people that haven't worked.
Clearly, some mixed opinions there. Well, there are calls for free travel to be assessed and only given to those who really need it.
Pensioners are one of the wealthiest generations. It's the wealthiest generation we've ever seen. They have trillions of property wealth. They have generous pensions young people can only dream of. And many are still working and are on very high incomes. Meanwhile, young people spend half of their income on rent, are drowning in student debt, and have had this welfare safety net ripped out from them. So we think it's fundamentally unfair that a young worker should subsidise their bosses, their older colleagues' travel.
Now, it is important to remember, though, there are free passes for children and discounted passes for care leavers and students too. But there are worries taking the freedom pass away for the older generation could lead to some missing out.
The statement that the freedom pass is bankrupting the country is clearly exaggerated nonsense. The bus pass, in fact, and the freedom pass contribute to the economy because it helps older people to actually engage with society, to spend some money in local shops, to do volunteering, to do unpaid childcare.
So, as you can see there, an interesting discussion that's taking place following these tweets, and it is clear that if there are any changes to these travel passes, it will be controversial. Riz.